Good evening, one and all. On behalf of Shri Kumarswami College, Ausa, I welcome all the dignitaries and participants for the national webinar on the topic Multiple Intelligences using MI to make a classroom more interactive and interesting. The college, Shri Kumarswami College, Ausa, which is run by Shri Mahant Swami Shikshan Prasarak Mandal, Ausa, Maharashtra, has been conducting a mega series of national and international webinars. The objectives of the webinar series are to exchange knowledge, to enrich knowledge, and to spread knowledge through the keynote speeches by honorable speakers and intellectual discussions. The webinar series are with the help of participants. The webinar series is benefiting students, researchers, teachers, knowledge seekers, and all people related with the different fields. The webinar series has been going on very smoothly, successfully, and without any interruption, and proving fruitful, and it is because of the dynamic and active personality, chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar series, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Bedkar sir. In the starting of this webinar, I welcome him as the chairperson of this national webinar. Today I am very pleased to welcome honorable invited speaker and chief guest of this national webinar, Shalom Sunaina ma'am, who is academic specialist at BYJUS, Bangalore. Ma'am, I welcome you heartily on behalf of the organizing committee of national and international webinar, Shri Kumarswami College, Ausa. I also welcome all the honorable organizing committee members, Vice Principal Dr. S.D. Misal sir, Junior College Supervisor Ravindra Karanje sir, MCBC Supervisor Praveen Udge sir, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Sanjay Kade sir, Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am, Dr. Sudhir Garad sir, Dr. Patwari sir, and Dr. Wadkar sir. We all are here waiting eagerly for the keynote speech by the honorable speaker. But before that, I request Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am to introduce today's invited speaker. Please ma'am, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. You are welcome to this grand national and international webinar series. On occasion of Golden Jubilee year of the college, Shri Kumarswami Mahavidyalaya Ausa has organized a wonderful grand knowledge sharing webinar series with the aim of women empowerment and women dignity. This series is going on very successfully and systematically because of the efficient and motivational personality respected Dr. Bedkar MM and all the resource persons and punctual participants. I am very thankful to respected principal for giving me this opportunity to introduce a resource person on this virtual platform. Many big thanks goes to organizing committee members and a big thanks to all the respected participants. Those are joining daily from all over India and abroad also, and they are making this series a very successful series. So today's keynote speaker is Honorable Shalom Sunaina ma'am, academic specialist, BYJUS, Bangalore. Title of speech is Multiple Intelligences using MI to make classes more interactive and interesting. Her qualification is BSc from Raja Lakhamgowda Science Institute, Belgavi, and MSc from Karnataka University, Dharwad. And she completed B.Ed from PEST's Sheikh College of Education, Belagavi. She worked as lecturer at different colleges and as a principal at Shaheen Prime PU College. She is a creative and compassionate lecturer with 10 years of teaching experience in the subject of physics. She has presented paper on tsunami in national level conference SBMJC Bangalore. She completed project on transmission characteristics of optical fiber in presence of nuclear environment in MSc. She has cleared TET, that is Teachers Eligibility Test, in first attempt in 2021. She worked for a project of Rotary Lions Club Belagavi on speed maths as teacher expert. She has online experiences, voice over artist for educational videos, as a blog writer for a local health academy site, and worked as a storyboard writer, that is work from home. So after this introduction, I would like to request today's keynote speaker, Honorable Shalom Sunaina ma'am. Please start your speech. Thank you.
Madam, check your audio system, please.
Madam, your voice is not audible.
First icon you should keep it on, or you use if you are using headphones.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening, one and all present here. I am privileged and honored to be here to present a webinar on multiple intelligence. It's an honor of all the teachers here and all the esteemed participants of this webinar. I thank the principal of this college, Dr. M. Ambedkar sir, for having invited me to speak on this topic today. I just was just watching the introduction part before we all began, and I saw that the college is actually having this golden jubilee here, and they have a unique mission that is of women empowerment and dignity, and they're celebrating this golden jubilee with this mission, and I'm really honored to present this talk today, and thank you for inviting me. So before I'll just share my screen. Please let me know if it's visible. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. So the topic of today's session is multiple intelligence. That is, using multiple intelligence to make our classes more interactive and interesting. So this is the need of the hour, because most of the children and even the teachers and parents, they believe that the grades are the ones which are going to decide their future. And knowing about multiple intelligence is really important for every child, for every teacher, for every parent, because this gives the child, the parent, and the teacher focus on what is essential. And today I would like to just go ahead and talk more about this multiple intelligence. And those teachers present here, maybe most of you must be knowing about this because most of you must have completed your BA, that is Bachelor in Education. And we have a topic of multiple intelligence theory in BEd. But it is all in the books. We usually never, put it out in the classroom. So I just want to cover this part today about multiple intelligence and how we are going to make the class more interactive and more interesting. So to begin with, I would like to tell what we'll be covering in this session today. So firstly, we'll be covering what is multiple intelligence. We have to know firstly as to what we are trying to discuss. Secondly, we'll be learning about the theory behind this multiple intelligence, the one who explained about this multiple intelligence. And also, we are going to learn as to why do we need this MI theory, that is the multiple intelligence theory. And also, how to use MI in classroom and what do the students gain from this MI theory. So this is very important because we need to know what the students gain from this MI theory, because before inculcating this in the classroom, it's necessary we know that it is going to be a profit to the students and not a loss. So now, before I just continue with the, sorry, just a minute. Yes. So before I continue with what is multiple intelligence, I would like to define what is intelligence. So intelligence, you can say, is the ability to adjust. So firstly, how we are going to measure intelligence. It is a capacity of an individual to adjust and think according to the environment. So how he is going to adjust in the environment, how he is going to deal with the environment. So all this we are going to learn in this by understanding what is intelligence. Secondly, intelligence is the ability to learn. It includes the ability to learn from and interact with everything in our immediate environment, including other people. It could be learning a new language when you shift to a new place. It could be anything. So intelligence is the ability to learn. Then, going to the third one, intelligence is the ability to do abstract thinking. Now, what is abstract thinking? Abstract thinking is the ability to absorb the information from our senses and make connections to the wider world. In abstract thinking, you think about how everything relates to the bigger picture. You don't just ask how, you ask why. You look for deeper meanings and underlying patterns in things. You seek to understand how everything relates to everything else. For example, when you look at the Statue of Unity as an abstract thinker, if you just look at the Statue of Unity, you don't just look at it as a statue, but you look at it as a symbol of unity, a symbol of freedom struggle, and an iconic symbol of the Iron Man. Next, intelligence is the ability to solve problems. How efficient are we in solving the problems? Intelligence is the ability to acquire and use knowledge. So, only acquiring knowledge is not important. Using that knowledge is important. Next, intelligence is the aggregate or global capacity of an individual to act purposefully, think rationally, and deal effectively with one's environment. Now, we know what is intelligence, but what is not intelligence? Because what happens in our daily lives is we think that intelligent person has a very, very good memory. The one who has good memory is very intelligent, but it is not so. An intelligent person may have poor memory. He may be forgetful, right? So that doesn't mean he's not intelligent. Intelligence is not a skill which a person acquires after planned practice. So we can't say that I'm not intelligent today, but I'll become intelligent tomorrow, right? It's not a guarantee of good behavior of the individual. So you can't guarantee that an intelligent person can behave properly. He can behave badly, or the one who is behaving very badly may be intelligent too, right? So first we have to understand what exactly is intelligence. Moving ahead, let's try to understand what is multiple intelligence. I would love to quote a saying by Albert Einstein. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Right? We can't say, we can't ask a fish to climb a tree. It's not possible. Right? So, how can you judge a person by their ability to do something which they cannot? Right? So, this led to the fact of multiple intelligence. Now, human intelligence defines our cognitive abilities to understand, interpret, and accept things around us. Our intelligence helps us to plan, it helps us to solve, and it helps us to apply reason or logic to situations. But in addition to logical reasoning and critical thinking, our intelligence also contributes to our language ability. That is, how we speak, how we interact, how we make decisions, how we communicate with others. So, this is multiple intelligence. Now, going ahead to the theory which we have studied in Bachelor's of Education, B.Ed. Most of you must be knowing this. Multiple intelligence theory was given by Howard Gardner in 1983. He proposed the theory of multiple intelligence. Though he had to continue to revise his theory over the years, he felt the traditional concept of intelligence was incomplete, and he instead, what he proposed was there are different varieties or types of intelligences. Now, you can see here, we have different types of intelligence here. So, totally, Gardner gave around 8 types of intelligence, beginning with intrapersonal. What do we mean by intrapersonal? To be aware of one's own feelings, one's own values, and one's own thinking processes. To understand yourself, you have to understand yourself, you have to understand your motivations or intentions. So, this type of intelligence deals with understanding our own self. This helps you become more aware of your strengths, it helps you become more aware of your weaknesses, thus helping you to identify the areas of improvement. Now, if you have a strong grasp of who you are, what is your purpose, what are your emotions, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, you will surely make better decisions for yourself. Secondly, we have interpersonal. So, when we say interpersonal, it responds appropriately to others by understanding the social cues, motivations, and moods. Now, people with this intelligent are able to understand other people's emotions. So, intrapersonal was understanding our own self, interpersonal is understanding the others. So, how we understand other people's emotions, how we understand their feelings and thoughts easily. So, they also find it easy to connect with someone. So, when it comes to teamwork, interpersonal intelligence is quite handy as it allows you to collaborate and cooperate with your teammates. Now, people with this intelligence make great team players. They are especially, they are good in counselors. They become good counselors. They become good therapists. They become good social workers too, right? So, thirdly, we have the linguistic verbal. Now, what do we mean by linguistic verbal? So, suppose we are able to read, suppose we are able to communicate, suppose we have good vocabulary, we have good verbal communication, we come in this category of intelligence. So, if storytelling, public speaking, writing, they are your strengths, you have a strong linguistic intelligence. So, the ability, to convey the thoughts, the ideas, and everything clearly, and precisely. So these are the qualities a linguistically intelligent person will display. Fourthly, we have the musical intelligence. This intelligence, the person who is having this intelligence produces rhythm and pitch and appreciates musical values. So, musical intelligence means the people have a strong sense of pitch, the tone, and the understanding of musical patterns and rhythm. So, usually they know, like, what rhythm they have to play, what the pitch they have to go. So, perfect pitch or absolute pitch is the ability to identify and mimic musical notes perfectly. So, someone with this musical intelligence could become musicians, they can become composers, they can become singers, and they can also play in orchestra, right? So, fifthly, we have logical mathematical intelligence. Now, these people understand logical and numerical patterns as well as abstract concepts. Now, good logical reasoning and high aptitudes are associated with these people. This this is the time. This is the type of intelligence which is closely linked with the IQ of a person. So it helps you to critically make assumptions. These people rely on facts. They don't believe in the fiction. So they for everything they want the facts. They don't believe in what is said. They want the facts, exact facts, and they believe in only facts. So people with high logical mathematical intelligence are good with numbers, statistics, and data. Sixthly, we have the bodily kinesthetic. So these people skillfully use and control the body and the objects. Now, for example, they can tackle the objects, they can maintain postures, they can handle their physical movements much better than the others. So, from athletes, dancers, police officers, military people, builders, so all these have this bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Seventh, we have the visual spatial intelligence. So these people, they visualize accurately and use abstract information to picture the information in one's hand. So most of the children most of the children you must have seen, if you teach them or if you give them the notes, they will not study. But when you put it in the form of pictures, they are ready to analyze, they're ready to grasp it. So visual spatial intelligence is consisting of these type of kids. They recognize patterns, they decode the problems and interpret them. So these are some of the skills which is associated with the intelligence, that is visual spatial intelligence. And the last intelligence mentioned by Gardner is naturalistic. So these people, or the ones who have this type of intelligence, they identify and they categorize the animals, plants, and other aspects of nature. So they are always in nature. They always love to be in nature. They they connect with the surroundings. They are able to have a unique bond with the birds, animals, plants, etc. So you can just help them out in by connecting them to the nature, right? So next, these are about the Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, or the multiple intelligence theory. Now, why is it important? Why MI theory is important? So, learning about the growth mindset. So, uh, it helps the children understand that uh, you know our brains become smarter if we are willing to work hard. They try new experiences, they accept challenges. I'm sorry for that. Yes. So it helps children understand that our brains can become smarter. It empowers students with the knowledge that there are many ways they can be smart, right? It helps students identify their strengths. And this MI theory gives them the tools they need to overcome the challenges and develop. So Gardner's theory can help you understand yourself. It can help you identify which type of intelligence you possess. So learning about your strengths, learning about your weakness is a good way to find a career path or even hobbies that you'll enjoy. So it's important to be aware of what skills you have, what abilities you have. Can you sing? Can you paint? Can you dance? Can you play a skit? Can you rap a music? So all this is nothing but multiple intelligence. Now, determining what values you have, assessing what gives you joy, and thinking about what you're good at. So, this is going to build up the confidence. So, you will be more equipped to follow through with your words and also with your risks. So, not only will this help you with a personal level, but it will also help all those who are along with you professionally. So, first step to becoming someone is to first know yourself. Now, here I want to quote a personal story of mine where I had to face this multiple intelligence in my classroom. So, I had a student in grade 11 around 8 years back, and she was not at all a very studious child. So what she used to do was, she used to never study. She was forced to take up science by her parents because that was a criteria that every child has to learn science. So that is the criteria of many parents. So this child was not interested in science, and she used to never study. She used to always get single digit marks out of 100. And it was very difficult for all the teachers, for even for her parents, because every time we had to call them, every time we had to make them understand, like, your child is not studying, and they were also fed up. Then one day, we just called the child, and we just asked her, like, why are you not studying? What is the problem that you're facing? And the child said, "Ma'am, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in science, and nothing goes into my head." So then we asked her, like, what are you interested in? And she said, "I want to become a fashion designer, and I want to study arts, but my parents want me to become a doctor or an engineer." And I just talked to her mother, and her mother was in tears, and she said, like, her father won't accept for this. She's a girl, and she has to do, she can't go for fashion designing and all. And after a few years, I just lost contact with that child, and after about 4 5 years, I came back in contact with the child, and the child now is a successful fashion designer. She designs clothes for models, for actors, etc. And she has a separate, a different glow in her face. And when I asked her, she said, "Ma'am, I knew I had to be a fashion designer, and I didn't want it to study. So at last my father gave up, and he allowed me to do this fashion designing." So this is how we are forcing our kids actually. We have to help our children, understand their abilities. We have to help them realize what are their strengths rather than forcing upon them that you have to become this, you have to become that. Because if you force the kids, they will become what you want to become. They will never become what they wanted to become. And that will never give them confidence, and they will never succeed in their life. If sometimes it so happens that the children get misled, but you can just sit with them, you can make them realize, make them understand what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and what would happen if they take up this type of career. And you can mold the child in a very beautiful way rather than forcing, right? So this is all about how we are inculcating this multiple intelligence in our daily lives. Now, how do we use MI in classroom, right? So first thing, we have to get to know the students better. Now, as I told you about the story of this girl here, she had to be known better. So we have to know our children better. We should know how our kids are, whether they're intelligent verbally, intelligent linguistically, intelligent bodily kinesthetic, intelligent in visual spatial, or intelligent in any other way. So we have to expand upon the traditional activities. So we have to give away the traditional activities. So we can't just say just sit and study, sit and study, sit and study. Not every child can sit and study for hours together. So again, coming to the 8 intelligence of Gardner. So firstly, again coming to linguistic, we have to how we are going to use this MI, multiple intelligence of linguistic in the classroom. So if a child is intelligent linguistically, what we can do is we can ask the students to write a story about what they're studying. If they're learning a process, have them write an instruction manual, or give them a how to speech. Ask them to write scripts, ask them to make videos, ask them to design a brochure, or any activities which will help them in with this intelligence. Secondly, coming to the logical mathematical intelligence. Now, beyond the math problems, this intelligence, it focuses on logical reasoning. So it focuses on logical reasoning, it focuses on problem solving. How can the student develop this logical mathematical intelligence, and how he can learn with this intelligence? So for students, you can ask them to conduct a survey, you can ask them to make a graph, you can ask them to chart out the results. Now for English or history classes, what we can do, you can use a debate to teach the basics of logic, of that particular subject. You can ask the students to function the way a real life scientist would do, using logic. So you can ask them to give a hypothesis, propose a hypothesis, solve a problem. So in this way we can develop this logical, mathematical skill of the child. Thirdly, bodily kinesthetic. Now, these kids are very good at sports, so they're physically very active. So, for these kids, we have to make them, give them something which they can use their hands, they can use their legs, they can use all their physical parts to learn. So they can for English and history, you can make them do a skit, you can make them dance, you can make them to physically stimulate a scientific process, right? So in maths, you can ask them to build a model of clay, you can make a collage, you can ask them to make a collage, right? So in this way we can build up their bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Fourth, visual spatial intelligence. So here the child is picture smart. He's not word smart. This child is picture smart. So what you can ask the child, you draw a diagram, illustrate a project, okay? Or the child can develop a PPT, PowerPoint presentation. You can encourage, the group to use symbols. You can encourage them to use colors, so which will help them to, sense the notes, since they may struggle with traditional note making methods, so they can make a mind map, they can make a flow chart, right? So graphically they can represent the notes. So all this could be done for a visual spatial intelligent child. Next, coming to musical. So these students are gifted musicians, so they usually learn with music. So first, I don't know if you have seen a movie called Chalk and Duster. There uh, the maths teacher is teaching them trigonometry by singing, by singing. So periodic table, so they can remember the periodic table by a song. So when we were in college, we were asked, because I'm a physics lecturer, we had a color code of register. So we used to remember it with one funny name, like funny way of remembering. So all this can be utilized here so that the child will be able to learn with its ability without getting bored. Okay. Next, interpersonal. So in interpersonal, these children, they are the ones who speak up. So we can give them, activities where they can teach the class, where they can give seminars, where they can have debates, where they can, we can have them interact with the others, right? And next, intrapersonal. So in intrapersonal, what we can do is we can give these students assignments which will challenge them to make connections. So for example, we can make them as team leaders. Okay, we can ask them to make some assignments using their team members, and we can help them, give them a assignment like develop a portfolio. Okay, and these all things will help them to uh, build up their intrapersonal ability. Then the last, very much attached to the nature, so we can give them project based learning. So how to uh, any project with which they can go out in the nature, they can understand the nature. So for example, we can use natural items like flowers or rocks for math problems, or have them say a poem about the sky, right? So take them to the classroom garden, take them to the school garden. So all this we can do, and we can help these kids develop their naturalistic intelligence. But there is a question here. Since we have a traditional classroom, it's very difficult to analyze the multiple intelligence, to give so many activities to the kids, pick up all different intelligence kids, and then we give them these assignments and then try to analyze them. It's very difficult, I understand that. But what we can do is we can at least pick one or two intelligence that we we don't normally use in the lessons, so we can just incorporate them. So for example, we can have interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, and naturalistic intelligence. So these are very easy things. So give them a seminar, or give them a group discussion, take them out into the garden, take them out for a tour. So all this will help these kids in developing their multiple intelligence. Now, what do students gain from this multiple intelligence theory? What do the students gain from multiple intelligence? So, having learned about the gardener's type of intelligence, it helps students to see they each have a set of capabilities and skills. So every child is having a set of capabilities and skills. So this, when the child is getting this feeling, they will start seeing, they start seeing that they have this capability, they have the skill, so they are not left out. So what happens is, when we give them the importance, this gives them an opportunity to strengthen their self image. So they're able to recognize themselves. They know that they have the potential. So they come up. they want to do it well, right? So this also highlights their strengths, and it also discusses the steps to help them improve. It gives them a clear path. So how to motivate them, how to how to show the path to the children. So this, when we show the path to the children, they are motivated. They're like, okay, I think I can do it. Let me just at least try. If I can't, I'll take some other path. So when we are showing them that you are good at this, you are good at that, and when we are encouraging them, the child is able to gain, most importantly, the self confidence. And it also shows them, they each have something important to offer. So when we ask a child to be a team leader, so he feels important, he feels, yes, there is a building of trust between the teacher and the student. And there is no difference between the differences between the teacher and the child actually reduces. And we both stand strong, the teacher as well as the student, both of us stand strong. Because when a child tries to get trust on his or her teacher, the child will start improving. Because what I have observed is, whenever a child loves a teacher, he loves the subject. And when he loves the subject, he will surely do well in the subject. I would like to quote an incident which happened with my child, actually. So when he was 2 year old, I put him in a pre-nursery, and there was a teacher who, gave him a lot of love. He was a very shy boy, and he never used to, go out and mingle with anyone. He used to never go out. He used to never leave me and go. But when he started going to school, when he saw this teacher, she's not ask him to do anything. She's to just allow him to play. And whatever he tried to do, she tried to encourage him. She tried to encourage him. So when he started seeing that, when he started understanding that, yes, I can trust this teacher, he started going to the school. Before we wake him up, imagine a 2 year boy, before we wake him up, he used to get up and say, I want to go to school, right? That happens when the child starts trusting the teachers. So when the child starts trusting the teacher, there is a better relationship, and both of us actually become really strong enough to move forward. We also will not get stressed out, nor will the child. Now, we have to remember that as teachers, we have a lot on our plates, right? We have to do so many things. There are so many assignments, there are so many kids, there are so many things we have to do. Prepare for the class, deliver in the class, and paper checking, so many things, right? We work very, very hard to support each and every student. And if one child also doesn't study, we start getting upset, right? Because even though we work hard, even though we put our 100%, there are some students who will always struggle. So, who will never understand what we are saying. But these kind of children, they need our help. And we are supposed, to lend our ears, lend our helping hands. And when we start, lending our helping hands, when we listen to them, they start getting confident. And the best teachers know what each student is capable of individually. And this teacher always tries to help each one attain their personal best. I would like to, end with this quote which says, "A teacher can be the only light to the child left in the dark." Let's be a teacher who leads the child in the light and not leave the child in the dark. Let's try to understand what the child wants. Let's try to, develop the skills of the child. Let's try to hold the child. Even though it is difficult for us, we have done lots of things. We are, we are actually the heroes of in the child's world, because that is what is our profession. changing the life of the kids. And when they, the only reward that we get is when they grow up and when they look back and they remember that this teacher was the one who changed their life. And that would be the best reward for every teacher. So let's try to be the teacher who wants to lead every child in that light and not leave any child in the dark. And for this, multiple intelligence theory, it plays a very, very important role. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your very good lecture on the topic multiple intelligence and use of multiple intelligence theory in the classroom for delivering more and imparting more and developing students. Thank you, ma'am. Now the topic is open for discussion, and I would like to request all the participants, if they have any query or doubt, please put it before Honorable Ma'am for answers and explanations. Please.
Ma'am, myself part.
Yes, sir.
Have any relation between IQ, EQ, and MI?
You can say it is almost similar because IQ deals with the intelligence, EQ deals with the emotional quotient, and multiple intelligence deals with each and every aspect. You know, every aspect where we are talking about, we can say we are talking it from our brains to our toes. We can say multiple intelligence. So it is dependent. Almost all three are the same, but only thing is emotion quotient. It just concentrates on the emotions. Intelligence quotient, it concentrates on how the problem solving capability is. But multiple intelligence, it is dealing with both intelligence as well as emotions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. There's a question in the chat. How multiple intelligence affects learning? So it is actually developing the learning ability of the child, because I think this question, Tuta Bhaskara Rao. Yes, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Yes. So multiple intelligence is where, you know, we are trying to break the barrier. You know, because we all know the present education system. It's all about grades. It's all about grades. You know, the child gets good grades. We say yes, this child is intelligent. But we are setting a wrong example to the child that only if you get a good grade, then you are intelligent. If you're not getting the good grades, then you're not a good, intelligent student. And that is why nowadays the suicidal ratios are also becoming more. It's not only about learning, you know, it's about your life also. So many a times what happens is we discourage based on the ideology that we have set actually. So because of the ideology that we have set, we say like, you know, this person is intelligent, this person is good, this person is bad, etc. But that is not setting up, you know, that is not actually deciding whether the person is intelligent, the person is good, or the person is bad. As I, in the beginning I said, you know, uh, uh, you know, when we say the child, I told about the story of the child. You know, the father wanted her to become a doctor and engineer, but the child didn't want it to become. So the child was poor in studies, but it didn't mean that she was not intelligent. It meant that she was intelligent, but in a different way. Okay, so that is what we are trying to inculcate in the learning process. I hope your question is answered. Thank you.
Anybody else with any question? Please.
Thank you for all the messages. I can see a lot of messages here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for your very good lecture. And also thank you, participants, for your questions and for your doubts. And now, after this very good keynote speech and discussion session, I would like to invite Chief Organizer and Chairperson of this webinar series for his concluding words. Please, sir, welcome.
Thank you, Professor Karad sir, and today's resource person Sunaina madam, all the organizing team committee members including Vice Principal SD Misal sir, IQC Coordinator Kale sir, Sanjay Professor Kale sir, Dr. Dayanand Patwari sir, Dr. Anita Dhole madam, Dr. Anil Wadkar sir, both supervisors Sri Karanje sir, Sri Udge sir, Professor K.N. Kadam sir, Professor Jamantrao Kadam sir, Prashant Ughade sir, and all the participants, those who are joined here from Maharashtra and out of Maharashtra. Today's speech of using multiple intelligence in our regular classes is very useful to all teachers, those who are present here, starting from the definition of intelligence, what is multiple intelligence, how it be used in the classrooms. So it was very nice aspect explained by madam with best examples. Herself she have explained her example of that fashion designer girl. And I also remember also I am from physics, so my teacher of their remembering register code is BB Roy, Great Britain, very good wife. That was the code and slogan to read the register color codes. Basically from rural area where I have learned, English was the top hard subject to all students to pass to square 35 marks. There was a teacher in that in my childhood days who used to summarize the few important topics out of 10, 5, 6 topics, and only summary he give a tone of a famous song which was remembered to all students, means summary in the song. So when someone asked some question on that chapter, they used to remember that song and the write all complete song there, means all summary, the answer was covered. It was a trick used by the teacher to pass English, squaring minimum 35 marks. It was very hard subject for the student, those who are from rural. So all these techniques are here scientifically cleared by madam. Different techniques and different parts where they are musical intelligence, other all these intelligences, how they are implemented in the classes. It was very nice and useful lecture to all. Every teacher should adopt this to identify the students, those who are having their interest, and to motivate them in learning with their choice, not with the force. Thank you, madam. Very best useful speech by you. We are thankful to you. And in future also, as a resource person, we will again invite you for on a new topic you have. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, on behalf of the organizing committee of webinar series Shri Kumarswami College Ausa, I am here for first of all, I would like to thank Honorable Invited Speaker Sunaina ma'am, who has accepted the invitation of our college and delivered a very nice lecture on the topic. And all things have become very clear from definition up to the use of MI in the classroom to make the classroom very interesting and interactive. So thank you, ma'am. And I think this will be very helpful for all of us teachers and listeners to make use of it in our day-to-day life in teaching learning process. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank Chief Organizer and Chairperson of this webinar series, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Bedkar, sir. We really are very thankful because we are listening different topics related with various fields and we are gaining knowledge every day, and this is enriching our knowledge and this is useful for us in our life and also in teaching and learning process at the school and at the college. And this attempt is made by the principal, and so all these things are happening. So I thank you, sir, on behalf of the organizing committee of webinar series of the college. I also thank Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am, who has given a very good introduction of today's honorable speaker. And I also thank all the participants because these participants are the integral part of the webinar series. Participants are joining from different corners of the country and also from abroad, and they are listening very carefully and raising their doubts and questions, which are adding to our knowledge. So thank you, participants. And now at the end, I request all the participants, please fill up feedback form so that you can have your certificates. And with the kind permission of the chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar series, I declare that today's webinar is over. Thanks to all. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The feedback link.
ओके फीडबॅक लिंक देतो.